So continuing with our Star Trek theme, I mentioned in our last episode, but now I'm going to do a review. I watched my 4K copy of Star Trek Beyond from 2016. Now, I hadn't seen this movie since it first came out in the theater in 2016. I believe we saw it together.
Yes.
I remember enjoying it, but I don't think I've seen it since then. It was fun, but it wasn't a movie that I ever went back to. If this wasn't a Star Trek film, I probably would never have watched this again. But because it's part of the franchise, and we recently watched the other two of the JJ crew, I watched this. This is not one of the better Star Trek movies. It's made by Justin Lin, who did a bunch of Fast and Furious movies, including the last one when they drove the Fiero into space.
Oh.
The cinematography, the way it's shot, I'm like, this isn't a Star Trek movie. I mean, it's very different. I mean, the way J.J. Abrams shot his two movies was very different. You had all the lens flares, and everyone's running down the hallways all the time.
Lens flares.
None of that stuff
bothered. A lot of
excitement. None of that stuff bothered me, but this was just weird angles.
But in this one, don't they just crash? Isn't that what it's mostly about?
Yeah, we're spoiling this because it's from 2016.
I'm trying to remember. They're not in space. They crash.
No, it starts out, they're on their mission, and they're way out exploring deep space. So it starts out they're bored and they're like, oh, because you're stuck on this ship, right? You can't go anywhere, and you only have the people on the ship to interact with, right? So there's a lot of relationships, there's rumors, there's all kinds of crap, right?
There's a holodeck, but it's very dangerous.
No, there's no holodeck at this time.
Oh yeah, this one doesn't have
Also, if there was a holodeck, they'd have to be dealing with evil holodeck creatures all the time, right?
Well, the holodeck is just not a good idea. It's just so dangerous.
Yeah, guys, good thing we got rid of those holodeck creatures gone amok. I'm gonna go relax. I'll be in the holodeck, guys. So in this one, it starts out there in deep space. Then they go to a space station, which looks beautiful and has an amazing design. I really enjoyed that. And Kirk's like, I'm sick of this. I don't want to do this. And he wants to become an admiral, right? So he's applying for this. And there's the lady from with that really deep voice. She was in one of your shows that you really liked recently. I can't remember her name.
Rebecca Romijn?
No.
Who's in it? I don't remember who's in it.
No, it's an Indian lady.
With a deep
I'll look it up in a minute here. But so they get this. The whole plot, it doesn't make any sense, right? So they get this. There's a rescue, and then these people are like, you gotta go save these people. Well, the Enterprise is here on the space station, so they're the only ship that can go and do this, right?
Oh, of course.
And then they get attacked, and it's a trap. Okay?
Yeah.
And the Enterprise is destroyed. I guess they just want to get rid of it, and that's like, so most of the movie doesn't have the Enterprise in it.
Yeah,
they're stuck on this planet, and it's got this lady in it who
most of the things I remember about it are Mr. Scott and this alien lady.
Yeah,
those are the two things that come to mind.
And the alien lady was played by the lady who was in The Mummy, Sophia Boutella. Man, she was in some bad roles there.
Oh, well, she got to play an alien lady, and Mr. Scott is helping her out or something. Is that not?
Is this her name? Sori Aghdashloo.
Oh, yes.
She's got this really deep, frothy voice. So she's the Commodore. She's the Commodore that Kirk is
really good as a bossy lady.
Oh, man, she's got this really distinctive voice. She's great. And what was the show she was in recently you were watching? There we go. So
she's like one of the main characters.
They crash on this planet. I found a lot of the plot didn't make any sense. The dialogue was not good, and it was shot in a way that they're trying to make Star Trek appeal to a different audience, which is pissing off the original audience, which is exactly what they did with Discovery, and I tapped out of that show because it was god-awful.
Discovery is god-awful.
The villain is Idris Elba, and he does a good job, except they cover him in all this makeup for most of it. But the interesting thing about this villain is that, sorry kid, there's some noise outside. We can't control that. Hopefully that's not coming through on the video. There's an interesting premise for this villain because he's a guy he's a warrior. He's a starship captain, and he was around at the creation of the Federation, the United Federation of Planets, but they were fighting wars, right? So he's a warrior, he's a veteran warrior, and now they create... I don't know if it was with the Klingons, but now they create the Federation, and then suddenly they're just like, well, what do we do with this guy? He's a veteran. He's a decorated
Right.
warrior. So we put him in charge of this ship, but now he can't adjust to peacetime.
Right.
And so
right.
now it's like 100 years later, and somehow they've survived using this alien technology on this weird planet. And he wants revenge against the Federation because he blames them because they got marooned there, and he blames the Federation for not coming and rescuing them.
Right.
So it's an interesting premise of what do you do when you transition from wartime to peacetime, and some people can't make that change. So that was an interesting premise, but overall, I don't think this was a very good Star Trek movie. Now, some people really love it, but for me, I would give this a worst movie ever.
I don't remember it that much. I mean, I think it was a fun time, but the most thing I do remember is that I liked Mr. Scott in it. But I find that
Mr. Simon Pegg's always
Yeah.
great.
because I find that these new movies with this new cast, it's just missing a spark. He's the only one that seems to have it. I just found it's really missing something that the original.
All three?
Yeah, I do.
Star Trek from
I so
2009,
enjoyed them.
Into Darkness, and Star
Yeah.
Trek Beyond.
I enjoy them, but there's something missing, and I think Mr. Scott is the only one that has it.
I
Him
don't
and his
know.
Little alien. I don't know, because it's missing the geekiness. A lot of it too. It's missing some charm. They're missing something, and I can't. I think it's like they're missing the geekiness.
Yes, you're missing your charm.
And those things.
Chris
I can't
Pine,
put my finger
I really
on it.
enjoy Chris Pine as Kirk. It's a different Kirk, but I enjoy it. Carl Urban as Bones is great, especially in the first one. He was hilarious. John Cho is great as Sulu. He's the guy, because he gets put in charge of the Enterprise all the time, because Kirk's always off on a mission. He's like, I'll just leave my ship to someone else. So Sulu is like, don't mess with me. And John Cho does a great job of that. Excellent. Zoe Saldana, we don't get to see that much of her. Simon Pegg, amazing. I mean, when is Simon Pegg not amazing?
Yeah.
Anton Yelchin, he's barely as I believe he died during production. And there's two things near the end of the movie that are great tributes to him. I can spoil it. So at the end, there's a party, and they're all celebrating, and you can tell they digitally put him in there, and it's like, and they even say in it, it's like two friends lost, right? And then they show Chekhov. Because Anton Yelchin was gone, unfortunately, he died. And then at the very end of the movie, at the end of the credits, it's like for Anton, that's classy. That's a nice touch.
I think
that they dedicated it to him.
These movies are more just like they're more like a generic Marvel movie. I think they're just missing that something that other shows do have that doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to make it there. I hope they make more, because eventually, if they keep making more, we're going to get some bad ones, but we're going to get some good ones too. So we had JJ do 2 of them. Second one wasn't so great, but the first one was pretty good. And then we got this one, Star Trek Beyond. This is the worst one for me. But I still watched it. It did have some fun moments in it. And at the end of the day, I still give it a worst movie ever. So, what are your thoughts on the Star Trek Beyond? Do you like the JJ crew? Do you want to see them come back and do more? Paramount did announce it a couple years ago that they were going to do more. But they didn't tell the cast before they made the announcement. Not a good idea.
I do love getting the content and being excited for it, but I just have felt a little let down over all of them.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. You guys fans of Star Trek Beyond or the new Star Trek movies? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below.